This is from Yvette Cooper. This is why it's so appalling now to see those same police facing violent attacks from thugs, use the word scum, and they might as well use the word scum, on the street who have no respect for a grieving community. That's just a lie. They were on the street for that reason, those people. They were on the street because they were appalled what happened in their community.
And it's got nothing to do with a grieving community, with a grieving country.
Yes.
Just because I live in Manchester doesn't mean I can't relate to those parents of the dead kids in Southport.
Yeah.
Just because I see immigrants with machetes running around what was the place called?
Southend. Yeah.
Doesn't mean I can't relate to that. We're one country. I don't have to live in Southport to be upset.
Correct. As an Englishman, you can have empathy for the people in Southend, in Southport, whatever. You don't, we're
supposed to be one people.
Yeah, this idea that you can't protest or you can't even go to Southport to protest is ridiculous. So it's a total disgrace. Frankly, this is a time when everyone should be showing respect for a community and for the police. Is it?
No.
No, it isn't, is it? But this, I've written these are my notes that I sent to you. This is the voice and the narrative of our oppressors. This is the way they are talking to us. Keir Starmer said he would go out of his way to make sure the Muslim community feels safe.
That's wonderful, but what has he done to make sure everybody else feels safe?
Yeah.
What about the parents of young white girls who were gang raped over 4 decades?
Yeah.
Did he do anything to make them feel safe?
Yeah.
What did he say and Yvette Cooper say about the BLM marches 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Did they criticise the violence then? 27 police officers injured, went to hospital.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about that? I don't think. He took a knee to Black Lives Matter.
Correct.
Hence why I keep going back to two-tier policing. It's okay to want to crack down on white thugs, and so it should. I don't want police officers being hurt. I don't want mosques being attacked. I don't want shops being looted. But I don't want it being done by any community, by any coloured person of whatever colour, to anybody else. I'm consistent on my law and order. I'm not like them that pick and choose who are the victim community I'm going to support and who are the communities I'm not going to support.
What was your personal sense, Nick, when you heard Keir Starmer talking? Because he's come out twice now to talk, hasn't he, I think, and talk about this. What was the overriding feeling or sense I know you had to turn the TV off, but what was your thought process?
The first time I watched his last one, I turned it off after 20 seconds. I then had to go back a few hours later to listen to it again. I just couldn't listen to it. He was making me angry. He was making me want to go on the streets and smash stuff up. He was making me want to throw bottles at the police. He was making me want to be a violent hooligan and tear down this society because it's not my society. It's not working for me. And at least if we tear it down, we might be able to get something better. But we'll never get better. Tearing things down is easy. Building things up is extremely difficult. We won't get better if we tear this down. What we have to do is fix what we've got. But
what else can we do though now?
Well, now it's all about pressure. It's all about trying to reduce. I mean, the people who are rioting and looting, they're not helping. They're giving the government a gold-plated excuse to crack down on everything and not address the real issues. If all these protests were violent and then we can video the police overreacting, that builds sympathy. That builds a narrative that we're being persecuted in our own country. Then you start getting foreign governments and foreign people talking about it. That embarrasses the government. That's how we change. And then hopefully then we can start voting differently. It's hard to vote for a party supporting what's going on at the moment because the average person is seeing looting and rioting and bricks being thrown at police. I don't want to vote for them people and people who support them. But if those people in Pigley Gardens being smashed in the face by riot shields and there's mums and kids there and they're not doing anything, I'm not having that in my country. I'm voting against this government. We need to be a lot cleverer, but we're not. We're fought, but this always happens. This was guaranteed. So we need to take this in the mix that we're going to get this sort of uncontrolled violence. It's what comes after this violence we need to start planning.
Well, I think the march that Tommy Robinson did was a start. I think that's the way people need to get onto the streets now. Organised marches where we march and we say this is not accepted. You know, similar to the thing in the way the Palestinian pro-Palestinians, but English people.
That sounds good, but it changes nothing.
Really,
we had 2 million people marching to not go into the Iraq War. Changed nothing. We had millions of people marching to end the poll tax. Didn't do anything. We've got people marching all over the country for free Palestine. Doesn't do anything. Peaceful marches don't achieve anything because
what do we do then?
Pressure on the government.
How?
All governments, all politicians want are votes. It's all they care about. They will do a deal with the devil for votes. We need to make sure politicians understand how they get our votes and how we'll stop other people voting for them as well. That's the only way it works.
I don't think it's enough.
It's enough. It'll just take a decade. Violent revolution doesn't work in this country. Doesn't work in most modern Western countries. Works in Bangladesh. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I know they've been writing again.
Yeah. Well, the government's fallen. The Prime Minister has resigned and fled the country.
That would be great. Here's my note of my articulation of this when I was watching this. We have been deserted, abandoned, left to fucking die. And I think that's true. When I saw him then, I thought, this guy is not doesn't care about us. He's abandoned us. He's abandoned us for God knows what.
He was never for us.
Yeah, really.
He was never for us. He's a socialist, communist, identitarian. All he's interested is in power and trying to create the society he thinks is going to be successful. We've been in this position before. In 1939, apart from Churchill, nearly the whole of the cabinet wanted to make a peace deal with Hitler. In 1939, the cabinet was saying, we've lost, we're never going to beat Hitler, we need to surrender and go for terms. He might let us keep ourselves independent, we might have to lose India, and Churchill was the only one going, no, these are dark days and we may lose, but a country that loses while fighting recovers a lot quicker than a country that loses by capitulating. So let's lose by fighting and we will, like the phoenix, will come out of the ashes again. But if we surrender and we're beaten because we're cowards, there might not be ever coming out of that situation. So we've been in worse situations before. There was a time where we thought Napoleon was going to invade. We were looking across the channel waiting for him to invade. And luckily he didn't. But Spanish Armada. There's times where we've been in worse situations than this. 1970s again, let's go back our lifetime. 1970s were worse than this.
No, they weren't.
They were worse than this. They just don't seem as bad now because we're looking back in time.
No, because we didn't have 10 million immigrants over 10 years in the 70s.
Different problems, but we had battles on the streets where the miners, people were being killed. We don't think anything works now, but they haven't completely collapsed yet. We had power cuts, 3 days with no power. Bodies weren't being buried. The country was split in two. 70s were worse than this.
I think this is worse, and I'll talk about that later. I just want to. There's a great article in Spikes by Brendan. I think you know him, don't you, Brendan?
I haven't met him, but
I thought you'd maybe. It seems that in the eyes of the new elite, some riots are okay, maybe even good, whilst others are vile acts of fascist lunacy. Angry African Americans and their white allies among the Ivy League left getting violent over the killing of a black man. Good. We bow down. Immigrant communities in Leeds setting fires in response to social workers coming for Roma kids. Fine. The language of the unheard. White working class men kicking off in the aftermath of the murder of 3 girls. Evil. Unconscionable. Crush them. That's what it is, isn't it?
Spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on.
The acceptance, and we'll talk about this later, what's been happening with the Muslim communities after this and what they've been allowed to get away with. We'll talk about that later, but this 2-tier policing, this behaviour towards English people.
Yeah. Let me just follow on from that.
Yeah.
So, white English working class men rioting over the deaths of 3 children stabbed to death by a Rwandan immigrant who was born in this country, but for me, still an immigrant.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't riot over that, when can you? Because we couldn't riot when up to 100,000 white girls were gang raped over 4 decades. We couldn't riot then. We couldn't riot when 22 kids were blown up on my street in the city centre.
Yeah.
We couldn't riot then. We couldn't riot when some lunatics went to London and blew up the underground and buses. We couldn't riot then. How many people have to die before white working class men, who are the backbone of this country, who are the foot soldiers of this country, who basically created the British Empire, and they're the ones who sacrificed their lives for the empire, what has to happen before they go, my trait's kicking in now of being a protector, being a patriot? What has to happen before they're allowed to start protecting their country? Because it's obvious politicians are not doing it. So when does that kick in? When are they allowed to say, I need to start protecting the people I call family? When? And it turns out it was a couple of weeks ago, a week ago. That was when. Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.